When I first set foot on the sands of Saqqara, I knew the desert hid more than pyramids. It concealed secrets older than the pharaohs themselves, chambers swallowed by millennia, and whispers of dynasties erased from memory. The weight of history pressed on me, heavy as the sun blazing above the endless dunes. This was not just an archaeological site. This was a test, a challenge for anyone daring enough to follow the path of the unknown. I arrived at Saqqara in the early morning when the desert was still cool, the horizon smeared in shades of lavender and gold. The Step Pyramid of Djoser rose like a titan in the distance, its jagged edges softened by the passing centuries. Jagged stones jutted from the sands, and fig and acacia roots clung to walls like veins, stubbornly entwined with the architecture. The wind carried the scent of dry earth, and distant bird calls echoed across empty valleys of sand. My guide, Karim, was waiting. He was a wiry man, with eyes dark as obsidian, sharp and unblinking. He spoke little as we trudged across sun-scorched stones and rubble. Every footstep sank slightly into the fine desert sand, each crunch amplified in the still morning air. "Beneath these pyramids," he said quietly, "there are chambers older than Djoser himself. Not just tombs, but vaults. Forgotten corridors where no one has set foot in centuries." I fingered the obsidian medallion from Cambodia. The serpent swallowing the sun etched on its surface seemed almost to vibrate with recognition, as if responding to the desert itself. The same symbol had led me across continents, Egypt to Cambodia, and now it whispered of chambers that had been erased from maps, ignored by archaeologists, and shunned by history. Karim revealed a partially buried stone entrance near the pyramid's northern edge. A faint, cold draft rose from it, cutting through the desert heat. I lit my torch, the flame trembling in the wind. Shadows flickered along walls carved with serpentine motifs entwined around human figures. Priests, couriers, warriors frozen mid-gesture. The carvings were unlike anything I'd seen, geometric yet organic, terrifying yet mesmerizing. "The people who carved this feared something," I murmured. "Fear leaves marks, and marks leave clues." We descended carefully. The staircase spiraled down like a coiled snake. The walls glistened with moisture seeping from unseen cracks, the air stale and heavy. My boots echoed over centuries of settled sand and stone. Every corner hinted at danger, every carving seemed to watch. A loose stone caught my eye. I knelt, prying it open to reveal a brittle scroll sealed in clay. Karim read the faded old Egyptian script aloud. "Walk as the serpent walks, or be swallowed by its jaws." A warning, perhaps, or instructions. The corridor narrowed, shoulder width, forcing me to move sideways. Roots hung from above like veins, dripping water that pooled on the floor. My boots splashed as I navigated the wet, uneven stones. Then, click. A faint, almost inaudible sound, yet unmistakable. The walls shuddered. Two massive stone slabs shot inward, jagged fangs carved into their surfaces, aiming to crush everything in their path. I threw myself forward. Mud and debris sprayed the camera lens. The slabs slammed shut behind me with a thunderous thud. My heart raced, echoing in the narrow passage. "I didn't come this far to be crushed by stone jaws," I whispered, brushing dust from my face. Ahead, a faint green luminescence shimmered along the carved walls. Not torchlight, not sunlight, but something else. Something alive, almost breathing. The serpentine carvings along the corridor seemed to shift subtly in the flickering shadows, scales reflecting a glow that pulsed like the heartbeat of the desert itself. I adjusted my grip on the torch and stepped cautiously. The scroll's warning echoed in my mind. "Walk as the serpent walks." Every movement had to be deliberate. One wrong step could mean certain death. Water trickled from the ceiling in tiny rivulets, pooling in depressions along the floor. I moved slowly, following the subtle curves in the tile patterns beneath my boots. The serpent's S-shaped path, repeated over and over in relief along the walls, guided me deeper into the heart of the hidden chambers. Suddenly, a sharp metallic clang resonated through the passage. My heart leapt. Mechanisms. Traps. The ancients had long since vanished, but their protections were alive. I paused, listening to the rhythm of dripping water. Then, without warning, a section of floor tilted slightly under my weight. A concealed spike trap? Or a pressure plate connected to something worse? I froze. I could hear my own heartbeat thumping against the confines of my chest. Carefully, I retrieved a small stone and tossed it forward. The floor shifted slightly, but no spikes emerged. The path was safe, for now. As I progressed, the corridor widened into a vaulted chamber. The ceiling arched impossibly high, carved with geometric patterns and serpents coiling around pharaoh-like figures. The air here was cooler, heavier. The scent of ancient resin and stone dust mixed with something metallic, iron or perhaps copper. At the center, a shallow pool of water reflected the pale green glow from above. I stepped closer, and my torch revealed a sight that made my breath catch. Beneath the water, dozens of thin bronze rods drifted silently, arranged in circular patterns. They moved with the currents, almost like the body of a serpent writhing. "Underwater blades," I muttered, "just like Priya Veng clock." Careful, deliberate, I traced the serpent path again, placing my feet only on raised stones shaped like scales. Each step was a test of nerve. The water lapped at my boots, threatening to tip me off balance. A single slip could mean slicing through metal blades hidden beneath the surface. Minutes stretched into hours in the tension of every heartbeat, every shallow breath. Finally, I reached the circular platform at the center of the chamber. And there it was, a chest unlike any I'd seen before. Dark bronze, covered in intricate carvings, winged scarabs, lotus blossoms, coiled serpents, and a royal insignia unknown to modern Egyptology. The craftsmanship suggested a secret society, an elite lineage that existed alongside the pharaohs but deliberately erased itself from history. I knelt, brushing away centuries of dust. The chest was heavy, almost impossibly so, but I managed to lift the lid. Inside, gold ingots stamped with archaic seals, ceremonial daggers inlaid with lapis lazuli, jade amulets, and a scroll preserved in beeswax, miraculously intact. But at the very bottom, hidden beneath treasures, lay a small obsidian medallion. The serpent swallowing the sun, identical to the one in Cambodia. My pulse quickened. "This symbol again," I whispered. "Egypt, Cambodia, connected. Who were these couriers serving?" Questions swirled in my mind. Could this medallion be evidence of a global network, a forgotten alliance spanning continents? Or was it something even older, a dynasty so secret that it left no trace in history? Suddenly, the chamber trembled. A grinding roar echoed through the corridor behind me. Water burst from hidden vents in the walls, rushing into the pool I had carefully crossed. The bronze rods swirled violently, blades cutting through the water with deadly precision. I had seconds to act. I slung the chest over my shoulder. Heavy, unwieldy, but I couldn't leave it. The scroll alone could rewrite centuries of history. I retraced the serpent's path, now slippery with rising water. Every step was a battle against momentum, against gravity, against the deadly choreography of ancient traps. My torch sputtered, flickering shadows along walls, alive with serpentine carvings. The water rose past my knees, then waist. My arms ached from the strain of holding the chest. Mud and debris swirled around me, dragging at my boots, threatening to knock me off the stone scales. Then a shadow moved above. Karim's voice, faint but urgent, calling down from a narrow ventilation shaft carved into the rock. "Elias! Rope! Hurry!" The shaft was barely wide enough for a human, a tight squeeze framed with stone apsaras carved in eternal dance. I hauled the chest upward, scraping skin against rough edges. My muscles screamed, lungs burned. Water surged beneath me as the chamber collapsed in a roar. Jade tiles cracked, bronze blades twisted into a deadly maelstrom. Finally, with a final heave, I pulled myself through the shaft. Collapsing onto the warm, sunlit sand outside, I gasped for air. Dragonflies darted over the desert floor. Karim knelt beside the chest, his eyes wide in awe. "You survived the forgotten chambers," he whispered. "No one ever has." I sat up, dripping wet, shaking, and retrieved the obsidian medallion from my pocket. I studied its dark, reflective surface. "I thought I came here chasing treasure," I said quietly. "But this changes everything." Two civilizations, separated by thousands of miles and centuries, united by the same symbol. The couriers weren't random merchants, not rogue adventurers. They were part of a network that spanned oceans and empires, guardians of knowledge humanity had long forgotten. "If this medallion is authentic," I continued, voice barely more than a whisper, "there's a third site, a place more sacred than this, more dangerous, more important than anything they guarded before." I packed the chest, tightened my boots, and adjusted the camera. The desert wind stung my face as I looked toward the horizon. Somewhere, hidden beneath sand and stone, the next chamber awaited. A chamber that could answer questions I didn't yet know how to ask. "And that's where I'm going next," I said, swallowing the rising excitement and fear. "The real journey is just beginning."